Hello, everybody. Trying to continue from the continue from where we left the story of Mahabharata. Yes, we saw the beginning of the story. We started with the author of this great epic tome, work of literature, by the name Vyasa. What happened to him? He was born out of a illicit relationship, a hermit, and a fisher woman from the tribal fishing community. And Vyasa was born. His father disappears, the hermit. And his mother, Satyavati, of course, as I told you, she had this. She is the hermit who sired this child, Vyasa. Also grants the boon that a body repulsive body, the smell, the body odor, the smell of fish will be completely gone. Instead, she will always will be having the fragrance of flowers, a body. So that was what we saw in the first episode. Vyasa disappears, he himself becomes a great hermit. Later, as it turns out, he's the one who writes this entire epic story. Although scholars, there's arguments for and against, and intellectual debates as to who, although Vyasa is credited with this entire work of literature, some scholars argue there are several people who came together to complete this work of literature, and at least six different authors have come together to complete this work, including Bhagavad Gita, which is considered to be the work of part one small aspect of this epic work of literature, which in turn became renowned as the hallmark of Hindu theology. Spiritual captures all the the spiritual aspects of the Hindu theology. Anyway, all that aside, let's move on with the story until Satyavati, the remains in the with a tribal community, and in the meantime, we are moving to this city of the part in subcontinent which was ruled by a king whose name was Shantanu. Again, sorry if you think these names are outlandish. It's Shantanu, Shantanu, and Shantanu, for the most part, a great king, and goes on a hunting expedition as as the practice those days, the kings, their leisure activity is game hunting. They like to go to the forest with their soldiers and I guess entourage, uh, and it's a leisure activity, killing wild animals. And they return to the city, and this is nothing unusual. So Shantanu goes on his game hunting expedition, and he and his men, tired, they return to the riverbanks of Ganges. And where he encounters a young, beautiful woman. All the women in the story are young, beautiful, seductive, you name it. So no man can resist them. So this woman, definitely not the woman we saw in the last episode, not Satyavati Vyasa's mother. This is another woman, almost looks uh, beyond human description. She's so beautiful. Turns out she's not even human. She's a nymph of the river Ganges. See, as a tradition, like the Indian mythology, even Hindu mythology, the nature is worshipped in feminine form. You see, unlike the other religions, it's always goddess, uh, goddess this, goddess that, goddess of rain, goddess of rivers, Mother Nature, so on. So she is the nymph of River Ganges. River Ganges, even today, is considered to be a holy river, is worshipped in feminine form, Ganges. So she is a nymph, Nymph. Those of us who are not familiar with this terminology, please look up the dictionary. So she is there, and our man Shantanu, King Shantanu, enamored by her seductive looks. It's not the first time. He, I guess, this is as far as the story goes. This is the first time we are seeing him, but we'll come to another episode where he repeats his mistakes. Anyway, he approaches this young, beautiful damsel, the nymph of River Ganges, proposes to her. Look, I'm a king. What more do you want? I'm young. Marry me. I'll treat you like, beyond words. You're my world. You are my queen. She looks at him. All right, I will consent. I will agree on one condition. What is the condition? This guy is completely gone, he's head over heels with this woman's looks. And what happens when you're overpowered by any kind of emotions, be it positive or negative emotion, even if you're angry, your ability to reason now is gone. People who get mad, angry, they commit murder. People who are overpowered with a certain emotion, uh, you know, the ability to reason out is not there. It's almost they cross the line to become. There's a thin line between sanity and insanity. Emotions pushed by emotions to a point, momentarily you cross the sanity. That's why people even do commit murders and later repent. So this guy is now overpowered by this emotion. He's his carnal desire, his love for this woman, to be with this woman. So he says, "I will do anything. I, I have no problem. I promise I'll never ask you. You're my queen. You're free to do anything. No matter what you do, I'll never question you." What a promise! What a promise! Not even an idiot should give that promise. It's a promise most women would like. Don't question them. But it's come down to reality of life. It's not. It's not practical. So that said, Santanu marries her, has to make this episode rather go fast. A child is born in due course of time. Guess what this woman does? Young, beautiful nymph. Santanu doesn't even know that she's a nymph. He apparently thinks she's human. So she takes the baby boy, infant, goes back to River Ganges, where she came from. Boom, throws the baby into the river. Shantanu looks at her. He wants to say something, it's his son, but holds his tongue. He had promised that he'll never question her, she'll leave him. This guy is still head over heels with her, but he's grief stricken. Returns to the palace, goes by, a year goes by. Again, she gives birth to another baby. It's all baby, infants are all baby boys. Second child, second baby boy meets the same fate. The mother, nymph Ganges, throws the baby into the river. Shantanu, just about to say something, holds his tongue, comes back. His sorrow knows no bounds. Year, days, months goes by. Year goes by, another child thrown into the river. He witnesses that third child, fourth child, fifth child, sixth child. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 7 babies thrown. 8th baby is born. The woman carries the nymph of Ganges, takes a baby to the river. Now the king had enough. He is exasperated. He follows her. Just about to throw, he grabs her. What do you think you're doing? What do you think you're doing? She says, oh, really? You forgot what you said, right? You said, you promised you'll never question me. You broke the promise. What did I tell you? The day you break the promise, I'll leave you. I am leaving leaving you with this baby. Disappears. She's not human. Maybe he was in for a bigger shock. Woman disappears with the baby. He was befuddled with confusion and sorrow, grief, comes home to the palace. Years go by. Almost forgotten. 16 years goes by. Again, this king goes on his hunting expedition, returns to Ganges, and he runs into a young lad, 16-year-old, good-looking, handsome boy, teenager. This lad does things. He's built like a warrior, does things that most warriors, renowned warriors and martial artists could not of the ancient times would not be able to do. King Shantanu is awe-stricken, and then this lad keeps shooting arrows in a way that no warrior could, and the feat he demonstrates with his bows and arrows, unbelievable. And so Shantanu is completely astonished and surprised, approaches him, talks to him. Who are you? Where did you learn all this? He says, when Shantanu is about to engage in a conversation, guess who appears? The nymph of Ganges reappears. He says, King, you remember me? How could he forget her? All right, this is your son, the 8th born. He is yours now. But I'm obligated to tell you the reason for my mysterious actions. And as you know, I'm the nymph of Ganges, and we are not humans. There was a time, not in in another realm, in the heavenly abode where deities and gods and angels or whatever lived. There were 8 deities who disobeyed the god. But who is the instigator? The last born was the instigator, but all 8 of them took part in the act. So they were cursed. But every curse is how do you say, a redemption provided the one who is cursed, really repents and asks for forgiveness. So likewise, these deities ask for forgiveness. The god, whoever the god is, there's so many gods. Uh, it's, by the way, these are all allegorical, not to be scoffed and scorned about how gods and deities are all. Hindu religion, really and truly, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's all metaphors and allegorical message. It's not like some real god. In the true meaning of it is just allegorical. So people who literally take these figures as gods uh, are in serious trouble. But there's always a message behind it, a poetic message, a allegorical message conveyed by the authors of these theological doctrines and so on. So anyway, so the seven of these demigods were cursed to be born, to born into. When you're cursed, you become human. So it's a demotion. So they were born, but because they were not the real instigator, they are at birth their sin was forgiven, so they were relieved from the worldly life. That's why I had to throw them into the river. So they leave the human body and make their way to the the heavenly realm, so to speak. But the eighth born who instigated, because he is the instigator of the entire uh, the act that was whatever act that was carried out against the divine deities, he was cursed to live, go through the suffering, human sufferings, live a very, very long life, go through all the pains humans endure, all the sufferings, emotions human endure, and at the time he departs his body, he will live a he will live at the helm of glory, yet he will suffer immensely. He will be widely respected among all human beings, but that's his curse. He is that soul who committed the sin going against instigating, eighth born. He's your son now. That 16-year-old boy. She takes him. You're going to raise him. He's going to live with you. He's your son. You're the biological father. She disappears again. So this boy was known as Bhishma. All these characters have umpteen number of names, birth name, names they acquired through their, I guess, the way they lived their life, monikers they given to them. Sometimes the birth name they're known more by the other names, not by the birth name. So this young boy acquires the name. It's not his birth name. Let's and we'll call him as he was given the name Bhishma. So let's call him Bhishma. Let's not go into the other names and why those names and all that. This story tends to get a little bit. If you go into the nuances, it's going to get too complicated. So, episode 2, we'll see you in episode 3. Thank you for listening.